So I got food poisoning and ended up really sick. It started with an upset stomach, but within hours, I was running to the bathroom every 20-30 minutes, completely drained and exhausted. To make things worse, my period hit at the same time, which left me feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. I was dizzy, weak, and barely functioning. My boyfriend, let's call him Jake, knew I wasn't feeling well. And while we both agreed it wasn't life-threatening, it was bad enough that my family insisted on taking me to the hospital. In the rush of leaving, I forgot my phone at home. By the time I was admitted, I was barely conscious from dehydration. They gave me fluids, medicine, and strict instructions to rest while they monitored me for a few days. It wasn't ideal, but at least I was getting taken care of. Now, here's where things start to get strange. Jake and I talk every single day. It's a given. Some days more, some days less, but never a complete radio silence. So I assumed he'd reach out. Maybe he'd text my family or check in with my cousin, who was house-sitting for me. At the very least, he'd send a, "Hey, are you okay?" text, right? Wrong. I got discharged, feeling like I'd survived a war. I was exhausted but relieved to be going home. When I finally picked up my phone, I expected at least a few messages. A missed call? Anything? But there was nothing. No texts, no calls, not even a single notification from Jake. We had last spoken the night before I got admitted. I had sent him a message before I fell asleep, and apparently he had opened it 2 days later and still hadn't responded. I was stunned. Maybe there was an explanation. Maybe he had an emergency. Maybe something happened to him. But no, my cousin told me no one had come by or even called to check on me. My friends had stopped by, but Jake? Nowhere to be found. I sat on my bed, replaying everything in my head. Had I done something wrong? Had I missed some huge argument that would make him ghost me like this? I scrolled back through our texts. Everything had been normal before I got sick. No fights, no tension, just regular conversations. So why did he just disappear? My gut was telling me something wasn't right. So I decided to test him. I sent a casual, "Hey, I just got out of the hospital. Hope you're doing okay." Short, to the point, and completely non-accusatory. He left me on read. At this point, I was fuming. He knew I was sick. He knew I wasn't home. And instead of checking in, he just ignored me? I wasn't about to beg for his attention, but before I could even decide what to do, my best friend, let's call her Mia, called me, absolutely losing her mind. "You're not going to believe this." She then proceeded to tell me that Jake had been out partying with his ex. I was speechless. This was the same ex who had cheated on him, the same ex who had made his life miserable. And now, while I was in the hospital, he was with her? I felt my stomach drop. Maybe it was the food poisoning, or maybe it was the realization that the man I thought cared about me didn't give a single damn. I decided I needed answers, so I called him. Once, twice, 3 times. Nothing. Then, out of nowhere, I get a text. Not a call, a text. "Jake, hey, sorry I've been busy. Glad you're feeling better." That was it. That was all he had to say. I didn't even respond. Instead, I went to Mia's place, where she showed me pictures from one of her friend's Instagram stories. There was Jake, looking very comfortable with his ex, laughing, drinking, dancing while I was hooked up to IVs in a hospital bed. I felt like a fool, so I made my decision right then and there. I blocked him, everywhere. I didn't even give him a chance to explain because, at the end of the day, what explanation could make up for what he did? He left me alone when I was sick, ignored me when I needed him, and then ran back to the girl who had already betrayed him once before. And you know what the kicker is? A week later, he emailed me, "Jake, Hey, I don't know why you're ignoring me. I think you're overreacting. I didn't do anything wrong. Call me when you're ready to talk. Overreacting? I never replied, but I did take one last step. I sent him a picture of my hospital wristband, followed by a picture of him and his ex at the party. Then I blocked his email too. It's been months, and I have no regrets. If someone shows you who they are when you need them most, believe them the first time. Because I sure as hell believe Jake now.
So yesterday, my in-laws were at my house for dinner. It was a pretty normal evening. Me wife cooked. My daughter, who was 7, was running around playing, and everyone seemed to be in a good mood, until it wasn't. At some point, my daughter grabbed a bowl of vanilla ice cream. It was one of those moments where the ice cream was melting faster than she could eat it. She picked up her spoon and let some drip onto her tongue before scooping up more. Harmless. Completely innocent. And then my father-in-law said it. "Wow, you're going to make your future boyfriend real happy." Time stopped. I wasn't even in the room when it happened. But my wife and mother-in-law immediately told him that his comment was inappropriate. He just chuckled, brushed it off, and then, as if he wasn't doubling down on the weirdness, he repeated it. Twice. "No, seriously, she's got that skill down already. Her future boyfriend will be thrilled." By the time I walked into the room, there was an awkward tension lingering in the air. My wife's face was red. My mother-in-law was glaring at her husband. And my daughter, completely unaware of why her grandfather's words had caused this reaction, just kept eating her ice cream. I asked what was going on, and my wife quickly filled me in. I was furious. Absolutely furious. I didn't even respond right away. I just stared at him, trying to figure out if I had misheard, if this was some kind of sick joke. When I finally found my words, all I said was, "That's incredibly inappropriate." And then I left the room before I said something worse. He actually had the audacity to ask my wife if I was mad, not me her, as if I was the irrational one, as if he was some innocent old man who didn't just sexualize his own 7-year-old granddaughter. The evening ended awkwardly after that. My father-in-law acted like nothing had happened. My wife and I didn't discuss it much before bed, though I could tell she was struggling with it. This morning, the texts started coming in. Her mom? Livid. Absolutely tearing into him over text. Her dad? He was playing the victim. It was about table manners, he insisted. I was just saying that if she eats like that when she's older, her boyfriend won't be happy. Table manners? Are you kidding me? That's never been a conversation from him before. And he specifically said, future boyfriend? What kind of mental gymnastics was he doing to make this about eating etiquette? I asked my wife if there was any further discussion from her parents today. She said she texted back saying, "I'm good. He's good." Wait. Hold up. I'm not good. I told her that, and that's when things really took a turn. She got quiet. Then she told me that she chooses to believe her dad meant it about table manners because it doesn't make sense to her that he would make a perverted comment. I reminded her that he had repeated it more than once, even after people called it inappropriate. I could see the conflict in her face. She knew I was right, but she didn't want to admit it. Then she put her head in her hands and walked away. She's been avoiding me since. I can tell she's upset, but now it feels like I'm the bad guy here. Am I crazy? Am I the only one who sees how disgusting and disturbing that was? And why is my wife shutting down over this? Does she know her dad is like this and just doesn't want to face it? Or is she just struggling with the fact that the father she grew up with might not be who she thought he was? I'm still seething. but I don't know what to do next. My gut says I need to push this issue because there's no way in hell I'm letting my daughter be around someone who talks about her like that. But my wife? She just wants to brush it under the rug. I never thought I'd be in this situation, but now I am, and I have to decide what my next move is.